Now let's take a look at some other types of problems. In number 7, we're asking whether these lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. That basically is a question dealing with the slope. And in this case, we want to ask, are these the same slope? If they were, the lines would be parallel. But they're not, obviously. They're not negative reciprocals either. They're opposite in sign, but they're not negative reciprocals. So this falls in the neither category. However, moving on to this next problem, the first equation has a slope of 1, so I'll call that m1 equals 1. And in the second equation, the second slope here is negative 1. Now if you thought of that as 1 over 1 and negative 1 over 1, you can see that those two fractions are negative reciprocals of each other, and therefore these two lines are perpendicular. Okay, now again, another type of problem. Find the equation of a line having these attributes. Well, I've given you a slope, and since this point begins with a 0, you know it's the y-intercept. That is 0, b. So if we're looking for y equals mx plus b, we have the m, we have the b. Y equals 3/11 x plus 8. And in number 10, passing through this point 0, negative 3, again, that is the y-intercept, and we have the slope right there. So y equals mx plus b becomes y equals negative 2x minus 3. Okay, we then move on to a word problem. Cost of a rental car is $49.95 per day plus a flat fee of $31.95 for insurance. Here's the equation cost. Notice instead of y equals, we're using c for cost equals. And cost is in dollars, and x days, x will refer to time. Identify the slope. Well, notice that the slope here is the number in front of x. So m is going to equal 49.95. Now what does it represent in meaning? Well, technically it's going to be the cost per day. And the cost is actually your rise, and the per day, that per means divide, by day, which is run. And notice what you've got, rise divided by run. Whenever you interpret the slope of a line, you always want to get a rise and a run somehow in your description. Next problem here is actually kind of the same problem, a graph of what we have here. Identify the c-intercept. That is where this graph crosses the y or the c-axis, and they gave us the equation already. So we're going to say the c-intercept is 31.95, and what does that refer to? Maybe I should say 0, 31.95 to be a little more precise. What does this mean? Basically, that is the flat fee for the insurance. In other words, I'm going to say that's with no days of rental. That gets the 0 in there. If we rent this for no days, but we just kind of start the checkout procedure, we owe the insurance before we actually start doing the driving. Now, we want to use this equation to determine how much it would cost to rent the car for 1 week. Now they're playing games with us here because we're not dealing with days, we're dealing with a week, so we have to know that that is going to be 7 days. So the cost is going to be $49.95 per day plus 31.95 for insurance. This 7 is going to get substituted in for x. That's going to give us $49.95 times 7 plus the one-time fee of $31.95. Multiplying this out, we get $349.65 for the 7 days of rental plus the $31.95 for the insurance, giving us a grand total in dollars. I'm using a dollar sign here because our unit is in dollars, of $381.60.